thanks for the update. Okay, Steve, you ready for scriptures?
Today is March the 4th, so we'll be reading Proverbs 4. Hear, my children, the instructions of a father, and give attention to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Do not forsake my law. When I was my father's son, tender and the only one in the sight of my mother, he also taught me and said to me, let your heart retain my words, keep my commands, and live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget nor turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will preserve you. Love her, and she will keep you. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And in all thy getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she will promote you. She will bring you honor when you embrace her. She will place on your head an ornament of grace. The crown of glory she will deliver to you. Hear, my son, and receive my saying. And the years of your life will be many. I have taught you in the way of wisdom. I have led you in the right path. When you walk, your steps will not be hindered. And when you run, you will not stumble. Take firm hold of instructions and do not let go. Keep her, for she is your life. Do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of evil. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn away from it and pass on. For they do not sleep unless they have done evil, and their sleep is taken away unless they make someone fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is like a shining sun that shines ever brighter into the perfect day. The way of the wicked is like darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. My son, give attention to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Do not let them depart from your eyes. Keep them in the midst of your heart. For they are life to those who find them, and health to all your flesh. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth, and put preserved lips far from you. Reverse lips far from you. Let your eyes look straight ahead, and your eyelids look right before you. Ponder the path of your feet, and let all your ways be established. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Remove your foot from evil. That concludes today's proverb. Praise the Lord.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Now, Dr. Joe, we'd like to hear from you about some of the things that are going on in our court system.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, testing. Okay, as we all know, the courts in the United States are different than other courts in other parts of the world, insofar as you're impeccably honest at all times. You're conducted within the law, always known and alone, and we can trust them completely, right? Well, here's a new ruling from the Department of Justice that just came out, and I will read it to you.
Closer to the mic.
Okay, closer to the mic.
There you go.
United States Department of Justice, Officer of the Solicitor General, Pennsylvania Ave, February 20th. Multi-layer restrictions on the removal of administrative law judges declared unconstitutional. The Department of Justice has formally determined that multiple layers of removal restrictions violate the Constitution. The Department will no longer defend these restrictions in court and has affirmed this position in ongoing litigation. Constitutional violations and judicial overreach in Free Enterprise Fund versus PCAOB 2010, the Supreme Court ruled that multi-layer protection from removal violates Article 2 by unlawfully restricting the President's executive authority. The ruling clarified that the President must not be restricted in his ability to remove executive officers, including inferior officers such as administrative law judges. Further, statutory provisions restricting the President's ability to remove principal officers who are in turn blocked from removing inferior officers are unconstitutional. The Department of Justice has determined that administrative law judges operating under these unlawful protections lack any valid judicial standing.
Wow. And that was February the 20th of this year?
Yeah. Implications. Now, it's going to be all administrative law judges, right? Not just federal.
So number one, they're not going to defend them anymore.
Right.
And number two, they're actually going to go after them.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, no shit.
All right.
What about the,
I will answer all of you. I will answer all of your questions in due time. I ask you to apply a little patience.
all right.
Raise your right hand. All right, implication in Trump's Article 2. He can immediately terminate all unlawful administrative law judges operating in federal tribunals. He can override unconstitutional restrictions that hinder executive authority. He can restore full due process protection for the American people by removing unlawful administrative courts. Well, if they can do it at the federal level, are administrative courts at the state level any less illegitimate?
Well, they're all federal, actually.
All right, fine. Justice Neil Gorsuch has extensively criticized the use of unconstitutional administrative proceedings that bypass the constitutional right to a jury trial and unlawfully strip people of their property without due process. He has stated government agencies have been acting as judge, jury, and executioner without any lawful authority. Bar guild control and fraudulent securities. The Department of Justice has further identified the unlawful influence of private bar guild members. Let me repeat that. The Department of Justice has further identified the unlawful influence of private bar guild members controlling these corporate tribunals, which are operating under statutory fraud rather than constitutional law, engaged in securities trading via court registry investment systems.
Wow. Sounds like we're...
Yeah.
And
No shit.
facilitating land title fraud through the land registries, Westpac, and others. The Clearfield Doctrine, sound familiar?
Yeah.
Confirms that when government agencies trade securities, when they ask for what? Federal Reserve notes. They forfeit their sovereign immunity and become private entities engaging in commerce. Unlawful administrative courts are operating as for-profit corporate entities in direct violation of the Constitution's separation of powers, the right to due process and trial by jury, federal law prohibiting unauthorized securities trading. The President must now, given these findings, Trump holds full authority under Article 2 to dissolve unconstitutional administrative courts, to fire administrative law judges operating without constitutional standing, to shut down unlawful securities trading schemes, to restore due process, property rights, and financial justice to the people. The NAACC and other corrupt commissions have failed to investigate these systemic violations. The Department of Justice calls for immediate corrective action to dismantle this unlawful system. Next step, the Department of Justice will no longer defend these unconstitutional restrictions in court and reaffirms that the Department of Justice affirms that administrative law judges have no lawful judicial standing. They also say President Trump has the authority to dissolve these administrative courts immediately, and that all fraudulent securities trading and land registry fraud must be exposed and prosecuted. For further inquiries, contact Department of Justice or Chief Justice Neil Gorsuch.
Wow.
Woohoo!
All right.
It sounds
Now,
like some
It's like
heads
the
are gonna roll,
Yeah, no shit, eh?
you know?
yeah, all right, there's more. Gore's critique, he has repeatedly exposed the unlawful practices of administrative laws, courts, and bar-led systems. His critiques emphasize the need for constitutional adherence and the rejection of statutory overreach. And he says, the Sixth Amendment right to a trial by jury is incorporated against the states under the 14th Amendment, and it requires a unanimous verdict to convict a defendant of a serious offense. In his critique of administrative overreach, Gorsh emphasized the dangers of the agencies acting as both prosecutors and judges. Today, he noted, the court places a tombstone on Chevron that no one can miss. In doing so, the court returns judges to the interpreted rules that have guided federal courts since the nation's founding. Justice Gorsh further highlighted that bar members, as creatures of statutes, let me say that again, bar members, as creatures of statutes, cannot practice law or simultaneously act as witnesses and attorneys. Their authority is limited to corporate rules and does not extend to lawful reports of record. Their authority is limited to corporate rules and does not extend to lawful courts of record. Gorsh further says, Bar Member Chief Justice demands that bar agents, my immediate demand, wish, and order that you restore that all has been unlawfully taken without constitutionally mandated due process. Justice Gorsh says, please take notice that as agency workers, state judges, presiding judges, state legislatures, that you are bound to the Constitution that you have all sworn to uphold, and from this time forward, please they be advised that taking children, cars, houses, weapons, property without a trial by jury in a court of record following the course of the common law is unlawful. Please also take notice that attorneys who don't have their name on the line as they are not in positions of service and contract with the people, presenting you with the idea that it's acceptable to trample on the people's rights by device or artifice does not in any way remove your responsibility for your wrongdoings. Furthermore, there is an element of wrong being committed when you are working in a federal program and make money outside of your normal salary for carrying out the functions of that program, leaving one with unclean hands on top of taking property or rights from the people without right. All past cases that bypass the common law are unlawful. Do I need to say that again? All past cases that bypass the common law are unlawful. There it is, my immediate demand, wish, and order that you would restore all that has been unlawfully taken without constitutionally mandated due process, and notify all those who are harmed, or you agree that any wrong that is done in this regard in the future, or that has not been corrected from past trespasses, is done purposely with full knowledge, intent, and malice, and will be recognized as such by the people whom you swore to preserve and protect. This notice is sent to you in the peace and love of Jesus Christ, that you may repent and do works worthy of the same. Maxim, judicial notice is a form of evidence. Judicial notice is a form of evidence. I rest my case.
Woohoo!
Now, is any of this, make a comment, only one,
That's great.
isn't it?
That speaks for itself.
They couldn't have written it better.
Is that Supreme Court ruling?
No, it's a Solicitor General decision.
How can we get a copy of that?
Yeah.
The copies are 25.
Or free online?
I got a quarter.
All right, you
Where
had a
did you find
question?
that, Joe?
Where did I find it? Somebody
Yeah.
sent it to me.
It was posted.
I was doing diligent research and I,
Oh, no, I'm just saying, I wanna Can you send me a link to it, please?
I'll do better, and I'll send you a whole chain. Chains are cheap. You want galvanized, or what do you want? Tell me.
Okay, so I have a question.
Hallelujah.
mentioned-
Freedom is coming. Justice is coming.
So when,
All right,
months ago,
yeah.
when they decided the Chevron case,
Right.
that basically neutered the administrative state.
Well, it just paid for their gender reassignment. That's all.
And so your problem, this is basically, they're saying what they're gonna do is that the administrative court is going away, and basically they're all administrative courts.
They're basically all administrative courts.
But the president can enforce it now.
Yeah, the president can really enforce it, but
Got
I
backbone now.
see no, where's our legal counsel? I see no reason why we can't enforce it. I see no reason why you can't make an affidavit challenging not only jurisdiction, but whether or not they're administrative law, and that's completely unconstitutional. Here's the decision of the Department of Justice. So
What's the date on
we can all go home now.
What's the date on February?
February 20th.
Let me make a comment. When I read Gorsuch's book, A Republic If You Can Keep It, he hammered
Right.
the separation of powers.
Right.
And going back to fix California, you can fix the country. California has what's called an informal hearing.
Right.
And I used AI to look it up. And it came in 1985, and right now I'm stuck right there. But supposedly it was a bill that was carried and passed by Maxine Waters. And the informal hearing is all internal. They make they do the police work, they make the accusation, they do the enforcement.
I can't imagine it amounts to anything. It's completely unconstitutional.
And they have somebody inside the department who is the adjudicator. Oh my, this is going to have...
He's the adjudicator.
He's the adjudicator.
I'll buy you a beer. We'll have an informal hearing. That's about as much authority as it has.
So, administrative courts, as said,
Right.
are for,
They're not courts. They're for
administrative
corporations.
tribunal.
Whatever you want to call them.
Well, they're actually for government employees is what they're for.
Okay, so, we all know about the name in all caps, and, the artificial person, the U.S. business, the straw man,
Right. Whenever they say, there's a fine associated with this, I want $200 in Federal Reserve notes, they have brought themselves out of governmental service, and they're just simply a corporation.
So corporations can only contract with other corporations, right?
as I know,
So as
yeah.
long as people are going along with the all caps name, thinking that's them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then,
That's what Hillary Clinton said was real politics. There's the law and the Constitution, and then there's the real politic, which is whatever you can get away with. That's the real ruling factor. It's whatever they can get away with, and they've been getting away with conducting preposterously unconstitutional courts. The people don't read the Constitution. Most of them can't read their own name, so that's where you're at. But nonetheless, there are guys like Gorsh and, what was your full name?
Jason Morgan,
Jason Morgan. What's your middle name?
Marlon.
All right, men like him, men we can be proud of, men who will stand up for what's right. But you do, don't you? Absolutely. Same with Nelson. So we the people, a ragtag bunch if there ever was, but nonetheless, we've been charged with the duty, responsibility, and obligation to enforce the laws and to pass what was left of our constitutional republic to the next generation.
I think we need to have the sheriff, get the sheriff involved and let him know that has been done.
Well, unfortunately, the sheriff has gone through gender reassignment surgery and now is no longer in any mood to enforce anything. But anyways, I would be happy to give this to anybody. If you want a copy of it, I'll email it to you or whatever. And Glenn, I would like your comments, I mean, it is kind of self-explanatory, but you explain things better than that.
Well, it's great because they're saying that not only are they unconstitutional, we're not gonna, what they're saying is that not only are they unconstitutional, that the Solicitor General is not gonna defend them, and they're actually gonna start prosecuting them.
Marvelous, darling.
Yeah.
Really. That's all I have to say.
And
for
so
today.
anything that has to do with common law, or that should have been common law, as in we the people,
Statutory
that my case
out the door.
right now has gone to the Court of Appeals. So, you know, I kind of half hope it goes to the Supreme Court, because I can see that that's exactly what's happening in my case. Anyways,
So is this just gonna trickle down and it's like, hurry up, we gotta get them, we gotta do this real quick, because they're coming down on us. Has anybody like passed this down to them, saying, dude, you're messing up here, dude, you might wanna retire, you might wanna.
you know, it would be nice if, but I don't think they care.
They don't care.
You know, again, what did Washington say? Government is force. It's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. And so the only thing they understand is force. Okay, so when somebody rounds them up and puts them on trial for perjuring their oath, then they'll get the message, and then they'll get their neck stretched. And you stretch a couple necks, and the rest of them get the message. You see what I'm saying? Maybe that's what has to happen. I'm really looking forward to seeing some necks stretched over this coronavirus hoax.
Oh, God.
So we'll see what happens.
You want to start your
Yeah.
constitutional discussion?
So Nelson, I'll pull up that
Do we need a
file.
break? First of all, you need a break?
Let's do break.
Let's take a little break.
Okay, we're going to take a short break.